Tov, Eretz Yisrael. Welcome to this live stream event organized by the America-Israel Friendship League, live from kitchens around the United States and Israel, including the Firestone Kitchen here in Rockville, Maryland. We have several hundred people joining us and growing, including hosts from family watch parties that are wearing these aprons in San Antonio, Texas, Cambridge, Massachusetts, and Santa Monica, California, as well as Tel Aviv and Jerusalem and Israel, who are all taking a break from the anxiety of this crisis that we all face. To learn some new recipes from some chefs from Chicago and Tel Aviv and have some fun together. For those of you on Facebook, please turn on your watch party buttons so that other friends can join us all as well. For everyone on this call, either Zoom or Facebook, send us in any questions you have using the chat within the panel. And time permitting, we'll ask some of these questions of the panelists. I want to welcome each of the three chefs, then introduce their dish to you that you'll get to see. And then afterwards, we'll be able to share the recipes with them so you can try from your home kitchens as well. So first of all, I want to turn to my new friend, Lamar Moore in Chicago. Lamar, I understand you've got a bit of a twist on an Israeli classic, the falafel, that you call the falafel waffle. Tell us about it.
That's correct. I'm taking a mixture of falafel and I'm blending it in with a fresh waffle batter and making a falafel waffle. Here in Chicago, especially for brunch, and in America, we love fried chicken and waffles. So I'm gonna do a little twist and make falafel waffle with crispy fried chicken thigh. And then I'm taking tahini, which I mixed in was traditional with hummus or inside of my falafel. I'm making a tahini glaze and then a sunny egg up on top of there. I know that, you know, from my understanding in Israel, there's a lot of egg eating. We definitely love eggs here in America, in Chicago. So I'm gonna put a sunny egg on top.
That sounds pretty cool. We've never had falafel waffles, so I'll be looking forward to hearing what that recipe looks like over the course of this webcast.
Absolutely, I'm making it up right now, and then I'll throw a picture up, and obviously we got the recipe for everyone at home to make it too.
That sounds awesome, Lamar. Thanks so much.
My pleasure.
Okay, so we also have great recipes coming at you now live from Israel, where it's evening. And I want to introduce you to Chef Golan Gurfinkel, who's preparing lots of stuff that's in his cabinet, but very much Israel represents a crossroads of geography, a crossroads of civilizations, and oftentimes new creations and innovations come in the kitchens of Israelis in the last few years. You were explaining that to me a little bit, Golan. Tell me a little bit about how your dish represents those sort of crossroads and what you're cooking for us today.
So hello to everyone. And first of all, I would like to share with you that the dish was created by the quarantine over here. So I tried something new. The dish is a fish in the way of Asian and the Mediterranean, with a lot of ingredients inside that I will use. You see that? And we'll chop everything together. On top of it, I brought a quinoa, something healthy to the dish. And combining with the sauce together with the coconut liquid, I will show you something incredible that I just discovered 3 days ago. And, things happen in Israel, and Tel Aviv become, the capital of culinary. So I will join you later, and you will see me, the dish and all the rest.
We're excited to see what you create, Golan. Appreciate it very much. Yes, we know that Israelis are very resourceful and very innovative, and excited to see what you come up with as well. So now let's go to a different part of town, in a different part of Tel Aviv, where we have Lironne, who's not a professional chef, she's a professional diplomat and an ambassador for Israel, a formal ambassador. So we know that you've cooked for people all over Europe and in different places that you've been stationed, Lironne, and that you have dinners in formal settings, informal settings. Tell us a little about the dish that you're preparing as a dessert for us today. What are the roots of it, and why do you think it's a good dish to share with people at this time of year?
Hi, good afternoon. It is in the United States. Good evening here in Israel. I'm really happy to be with you. And yes, I decided it's not really a dessert. It's more like a candy, sweet. We're approaching Passover, Pesach. And traditionally in Pesach, there are many things that you cannot eat because of the restrictions. And therefore, I'm taking something from my mother's home, from her mother's home, from my grandmother, actually from Lithuania, which is actually a citrus field. It's also very frugal. So today when people are stuck at home and they're looking for things to do, maybe with their kids or themselves, and also are looking for, you can't go over to the supermarket every day. Many people today have a lot of citrus in the home. And instead of just throwing out the peels, why not take the peels, cut them up, boil them up. I'll show you how to do it, and make a very simple dish that is actually candied peel, which is a great thing that my mother always used to prepare for Passover, and we kids would always go looking and searching for it because we loved it so much.
Well, that's exciting that we're getting to share. Everybody, pretty much everybody's watching this from their own homes. And so we're sharing recipes that people have made and have their own connections. Some are brand new, like falafel waffle, and some may be around for close to 100 years. And so we think this is really a great way to build community and to share with one another at this time. So I'm excited. I don't watch the food channels like my family members do, but this is really exciting to see, how we can share from kitchen to kitchen at this time. So Lamar, I want to go back to you. My relationship with falafels is usually somebody handing me a napkin because I've spilled something on my face or on my shirt as I'm eating it. And let's hear a little bit about your ingredients and whether people are going to need to have napkins nearby.
Yeah, you're going to need a few little napkins. You're going to need definitely a knife and fork. Actually, I got the waffle here. So I took the same sentiments as a real waffle. Again, I added some fresh cumin in there. I grounded coriander seeds because I wanted the flavor in there. A little bit of parsley, some tahini, which is sesame paste, to add a little bit more rounded flavor. Garbanzo beans that I've drained and soaked, cooked, and then also pulsed. And then a little bit of fresh lemon juice. As I finish up here, so here's the fried chicken. So my fried chicken, the chicken has been marinated in pickle brine, and I take it out. I have a rice flour and cornstarch, some heavy seasonings, been deep fried in the cast iron pan, and then on top, I took a little tahini glaze, tahini maple glaze. So it's tahini, a little bit of maple syrup, a little bit of butter. I'm going to place that right on top of my waffle there. I like a little bit more tahini in there just from a little bit of sweetness, a little heaviness from the sesame. And then I think we talked a little bit about having an egg. I love an egg. So I have a little sunny egg up right on top. I'm gonna garnish. I salt everything, so a little bit of salt, a dash of pepper, a little bit of green onion, just as color and a little bit of flavor. And that's our falafel waffle.
Wow, zoom in a little closer. I want to see. That is a big meal, a big appetite. I feel like you could feed a village.
Hey, we eat big here, man.
I know you eat big there. Now
this could be a good share plate too. So
now this thing about eating eggs. When I told you that in Israel, dishes like shakshuka and things like that are prepared pretty much for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you were not at all intimidated by that. So you're saying the falafel waffle could be brunch, breakfast, lunch, dinner, No.
Absolutely. Believe me, I mean, right now it's almost 12:15 here. I'll be eating this. This will be my lunch or brunch, whatever you want to call it. So I eat eggs all day, man. I don't put eggs on anything, so I'm okay with it. And this can be served as brunch. It could be lunch. It could be dinner. I mean, falafel is very savory too, and I really enjoy like savory and sweet. So like the chicken's a little spicy. It's got some cayenne pepper in there, a little bit of red pepper flakes. And I put a little bit of cayenne on top too. So absolutely.
Now, we don't think of Chicago as being spicy, but you're telling me that you know, you've got as much, you can hold your own with the Middle East spices.
Yeah, see, you know, I lived in California for 2 years, and I worked with a lot of Mexican chefs in the kitchen, and they throw habaneros and jalapenos in the fryer, and we eat it with food. And I worked for a Peruvian restaurant at one point here in Chicago called Tanta, and they're big on spices and flavors, so I can hold my own when it comes to some spice, man.
All right. Well, so you know, middle of the country, bringing us the spices and bringing us some innovations on a classic Israeli dish, the falafel. We're excited by it. We'll get back to you. I'm sure people are going to want to hear more about that. Golan, you're cooking away there, and tell us about what you got.
Doing my best. First of all, you can see that I use different varieties of colors for the quinoa. So what will happen after I cook the quinoa, I will add to it an apricot, dry apricot, a basil, coriander or cilantro if you see, and I will give it a little bit of taste. What will happen after that I combine all the ingredients like paprika, curcumia, and some soya sauce. You can see that I peeled the lemon and I used it also. So what happened now, if you can see, it's a little bit, the color, I don't know if you can see it inside. What I will do is right away, I preheat my pan and I will pour it inside. Then what will happen that all the flavors are opening up. It's a shame that you can't smell all the everything here. You know, I remember 20 years ago when I worked in the Michelin stars in France, in Paris, everything was so, you know, they cook by the book. 40 cooks, stand like this, peel the garlic and everything. Something happened in the last 20 years, also here, that you can see in Chicago, he's doing a falafel. And that's Asian. So, Lamar, you know, you can see falafel in every street over here, and you see a line, people with the pita and falafel inside. And the difference here in Tel Aviv, that you will see a fish with the quinoa.
Wow.
You see how crazy it is? And believe it or not, we're sitting around the table during the quarantine and eating a quinoa with a fish. It's unbelievable.
So Golan, are you prepared to brand this dish as the quarantined fish?
I think it's a good idea. And you know, in my restaurant in Dallal, it's the oldest neighborhood in Neve Tzedek. What happened that I also brunch for 15 years. And you know, I can see a boy on the street eating something, and then I have an idea to cook something new. So what's happening now, that people at home, they don't know what to do. They're buying stuff, you know, just because to fill the refrigerator. And the quarantine fish is a pop-up. So just a minute, I'm taking the coconut milk, okay? Only the liquid, and I open the spices. And it will become a very thick sauce that will wrap the fish, and you can eat it with the quinoa. So I will continue over here.
Okay, well, I'm excited, and I noticed on the Facebook feed, only after Lamar you finished, there was a question about how to make the tahini sweet as part of this dish. And one of our Israeli chefs, who's Revital, who's in New Haven, Connecticut, had a suggestion that you can add silan to make the tahini sweet. So even as we speak, there are people cooking from their kitchens and being inspired to play with these recipes. So I will try to share these as they come, and if we create some new twists on the dish as we go, I'll try to pass those on as well. Okay, so we've got all this savory stuff going on. We're gonna need something sweet to top it off in the end. So Lironne, tell us a little bit about where you're at with the preparation of dessert. Yeah, tell us.
Well, first of all, as per your previous cook who from New Haven who commented about the halva sweet tahini, you can also just, it's basically halva, and you can also do it if you don't have silan at home, you can just use honey, and you can just mix it with some honey, and that's also really delicious. What I've been doing right now, I've been cutting up the citrus peel, which is grapefruit and oranges. I peel them, you take off a little bit from the thick inside skin so it won't be too bitter. Then you put it in water and you boil it 3 times, every time changing the water so that the peel will not the peel will not be bitter. So you boil, you pour off the water, you boil. I'll just turn it on here, and I'm just turning it on right now. And once it's boiled 3 times, what you have to do is then take the amount that you have, which let's say is about, let's say, a quart, 2 pints of citrus peel. You add the same amount of water. You add half of the amount of sugar. So meaning if it's 2 quarts or 2 pints, then you'll have a pint. Then you'll have a cup of sugar, and then you put it into a pot and you boil it for about an hour, and then you have to dry it and roll it in sugar. And wait for about a day till it's dry, and eat it for a long, long, long time.
Okay, so boy, people are really going crazy about the what to do with this falafel waffle. I think that the idea of having a dessert dish with a main course dish is just sending people into a tizzy. So staying on dessert for a second, Lironne, tell us a little bit more. You mentioned this dish came from your own family and sort of evolved as a Pesach dish, something that could be served during Passover when there were lots of limitations on what you could do with baking goods and the like. What are your early childhood memories of eating this, and then what does it mean to you to actually bring this dish alive today, you know, to all these people around the world?
Well, on a personal note, I must say that when my mother passed away, and a few years later, actually, my sister-in-law found this cookery book that my mother apparently prepared specially for me in her own handwriting. And in it, I found this one of my favorite recipes, which is of citrus peel, which many other recipes that my mother did in her beautiful handwriting. And since my mother was born in South Africa and her parents emigrated, like many of your grandparents emigrated to the United States, my grandparents emigrated to South Africa from Lithuania and brought with them their favorite homemade recipes. And in those days, people, of course, always made everything at home. You couldn't go and buy ready-made sweets usually. And the citrus peel, among other things, were the things that my grandmother, and like her mother, prepared always for Passover, so that we could eat over the holidays these traditional sweets that come from Lithuania. She had other things. She used to make something that was called plentzlach, which is actually made from apricots and sugar and cooked into a thick syrup, and then cut up into little squares that are actually like sweets, and many other things, and candied peanuts, and all kinds of things that you can eat over Passover. And it brings back memories from my childhood, from my mother, and my heritage, actually, which I'm reconnecting to in these days.
So we already have people that are responding saying, Susan, I believe from, Susan, I don't know from where, it said that her Sephardic father used this recipe during Passover as well. We have Ariella is pointing out for the vegans who are watching that you can use vegan butter instead of full butter in the dish. We had a suggestion earlier I saw on the feed back to the waffle, I believe, of actually using falafel mix in the batter for the actual waffle. So somebody has requested to see the recipe on how to do that as well. So we're really at this point crossing many different food and cultural boundaries and sharing and in real time actually creating some new dishes. So I'm excited to see. We're going to come back to all the chefs in a few moments to share some final thoughts on their actual dishes. I'd love to go now live. We have people who have signed up in advance, I said, with their own sort of wearing these aprons. You can imagine initially we had hoped that we could have people invite their friends in their neighborhood over for the for these little events around the country. Needless to say, circumstances didn't allow us to do that, so we're doing it from people's homes. I can see Molly and Jason in Santa Monica on the screen. Good to see you guys. I know you have an extended family there with you as well. Molly, I'm going to turn over to you for any questions you have live. But you also have to model your apron so we can see you too.
Yeah, we're not. Here it is. Hi, everyone. This is a great Sunday morning for us. We're so happy to be with you. I had a question if someone could make some recommendations. Our kids are 11 and 14, adapting any of these, either these recipes or other ideas to include kids in the kitchen with us while we're all home together.
Lironne, can I pass that one out to you about any kid-friendly dessert ideas and snacks that are either good for Passover or just good for things that you could find around the house that that a remote working mom or dad could come up with in the kitchen?
Yeah, well, there are plenty of things. You know, Israel is a country that has so many kids of all ages. In every family, you have 3 or 4 children, and this is especially in this time of now this social separation, or we spend a lot of time at home with the kids trying to do things. I would think of something that would be appropriate for Passover, not too complicated, and also has an American touch. So I thought of like egg white macaroons that will actually have not coconut as usual, but will have chocolate chips. So I would take 3 egg whites, I would whip them up with a cup of sugar, and then after it's whipped and quite firm, I would add a cup of chocolate chips and mix in also for a little bit of health, 200 grams, which is about 7.5 ounces of almond chopped up, and we'll spread them but with a spoon or 2 teaspoons onto a baking sheet. Separated so because they spread, so make a nice spacing between them, and then bake them in a preheated oven of 180 Celsius, which is I think about 350 Fahrenheit, and for about 15 minutes until they're kind of golden brown. And you have very nice biscuit cookies that are easy to make with the kids at any age. Kids can help whip them up. They can help put them on the baking sheet, and of course they can also enjoy eating them at the end. And it comes out really quick, and only 4 ingredients.
Wow, great.
Thank you, Lironne. Is that almond flour or ground almonds?
Just chopped up almonds. You can buy them free.
Chopped
You
up.
know, you can buy them in the store. You know, without the peel, basically. But if you want them with the peel, it's up to you. You can chop them up at home or buy them pre-chopped.
Thank you.
Super.
Thank you.
We're already getting requests for that recipe for the macaroons, and I know the Morgan family has had a lot of Parisian macaroons, so we have a high bar to reach there. Thanks, guys, for calling in. I saw them before. Do we still have Lori and Edgar on the line? I saw their cat actually on as well.
Yes, that was our cat Boris Wayne, and we're here from Granada Hills. And Edgar, you want to model the apron?
Right here.
Our question is on all of the recipes, what is the total prep time?
Ooh. Okay. Lamar, how long in the kitchen should someone expect on the falafel waffle?
The waffle itself prep time is 15 minutes. If you're doing the chicken waffle and the syrup, total is 45 minutes. And it's because the chicken's marinated. You can do it the day of, at least minimum 30 minutes. So literally, I just took pickle juice out of a jar and brine the chicken thigh meat in there. And then after 30 minutes, I bread it, put it in the cooler. And what that does is it allows the flour to stick to the chicken. You warm up the fat in the cast iron pan and fry away.
Cool.
Great.
Golan, I want to go to you. You're very busy over there. And by the way, question earlier about what kind of fish. Several people want to know what kind of fish.
So sea bass will be great. Also sea bream. Grouper can be nice. So most of the white fish, Mediterranean fish, the ocean fish, white will be great. And about the other question, you can feel like I'm working very hard, but really, totally, it's 15 minutes. To make the ingredients, you know, ginger, you have the leaves over here, and the spices, everybody have it at home, paprika, bay leaves. Also, I use cured lemon that I'm making on my own, and seeds of tomato. So most of the things will take you something between 5 to 7 minutes, and the rest, as you can see now, the fish is already in the pan. The sauce is already finished. I will pass it to the pan, and in 3 minutes it will be finished. And you can also use white rice, and it's enough, it will be beautiful.
Golan, what are you smelling? What are the blend of this? What does it smell like?
You can feel like you're walking through India to the market, like curry, the kurkumia, the smell of the, you know, when something is very spicy and the coconut together, you can smell like honey a little bit that coming from the coconut. You can smell the coriander, and you will think now, feel like a trip in India and a little bit in the Mediterranean in the market, when you can feel the citrons, the perfume, and at the end, something happened when we approach the plate. You will feel everything is coming together. When you take a bite, then it will knock you.
So we've just, I guess, transformed this cooking class into a virtual tour of the world to arrive in India and Asia and Paris. So as we're, you know, you're getting stir crazy at home, if you need some of these smells to take you to another place, that's an added benefit. Lamar, what's your kitchen smell like at the moment?
My kitchen smells like fried chicken and a lot of spices, because I use a lot of coriander and cumin. I think someone mentioned too about the tahini. So I actually blended it with syrup. So I used some pure maple syrup and a little bit of cayenne in there. So to get that nice sweet flavor in there, because this is very reminiscent of peanut butter to me. So it's like, if anybody's familiar with a Velvet Elvis has peanut butter, maple. There's bacon in there too. There's no bacon in this, but it just reminds me of that same, you know, kind of texture. And you got that nice stringiness in there. That's really, really good. And it makes a good brittle too.
Awesome, awesome. Lironne, what's the smell in your kitchen cooking dessert? Is it very, very sweet?
It's not very sweet because I try not to put as much sugar even as the recipe recommends, because I think you can manage with less. Now it smells of citrus, of orchard, but it takes me back actually to a place where they don't have that many citrus, but it's my 4 years, wonderful years in Latvia, when I was there serving for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And there, you know, when I was homesick and all I could find were wonderful berries and fruit from the woods, I would make jam, marmalade jam, to remind me of Israel and of the wonderful smells of the citrus and the orchard. And this just smells amazing, beautiful. And I think now it's time to start taking the stuff out of the syrup, to dry it here overnight, and then tomorrow morning we can roll it in sugar and we'll have citrus peel, and that's it, ready.
Awesome. Well, you should know that Rini and Dennis just commented that you've inspired them to want to take a trip to Israel as soon as they're allowed to, and they travel all over the world. So we're excited that the chefs are bringing the idea of personal visits again to come soon. A couple of questions from, it looks like Daphna to Lamar. Is the chicken bone in?
Absolutely, it's bone in. So I like thigh meat because it's got a lot of flavor. I'll show you. Got a photo of some chicken here left. Oh yeah, definitely boned in.
Okay, and the second question, can you show Lamar how to make brittle from the tahini syrup mixture? That sounds amazing.
I'll add that recipe to the mix.
Okay.
Pretty simple. I'll make sure I add that one.
Okay.
I grew up eating peanut brittle with my grandmother, and so it's one of my favorite snacks to eat, and it's very, very similar to that. You just got to add a few other ingredients. So I'll add that to the recipe mix.
Okay. Howard in Chicago wants to know if all your kitchens are smelling like Lysol as well.
It started off like that, but after a while, you know, it's a lot of vinegar in here too. So that'll keep us sanitized very, very well. That's a good question.
Great. Can Lamar cook for our family once this crisis is over?
We have to make that happen. I think our goal is to continue to do more of these and cook a lot more. So maybe we'll do a little cooking around the world.
Okay. Let's see. We've got a derivation on Lironne's. Let's see. Can I see that back?
Oh, wow.
It's somehow adding chocolate. I was wondering about, I asked Lironne that earlier. During the time that I was living and our family was living in Israel, the per capita consumption of chocolate in Israel was sort of off the chart. I didn't even know they made any dishes without chocolate in them at one point. So Lironne, what would you suggest to the idea of adding chocolate in on the dessert as well?
Absolutely. First of all, this is what it will look like once it's finished and coated with sugar. If you don't want to use sugar, you can coat it with coconut, dried coconut. But chocolate, absolutely. A lot of people just take and dip the candy, the peel in chocolate. I prefer, of course, the bitter chocolate, the cooking chocolate, and then let it dry. And you can either just take half a peel and fill it and coat it with chocolate, or the whole peel, and that will be delicious once it's dry. And you can put it in a box for a long, long time. And yeah, that's how we buy it actually in the stores, when you buy it in the stores. I guess in the olden days in Lithuania, chocolate was very expensive or unheard of. So I guess that's a very new tradition to put it with chocolate, but absolutely a great idea.
Great. Man, I'm seeing people Virginia Beach, North Carolina, people from all over calling in and participating in this, which is wonderful. So what I want to do now is maybe ask everybody to give each of the chefs one last opportunity to share their dishes, what they look like, how to improvise with them afterwards, and just sort of share any final words about your own recipes, which we'll be sending out to people afterwards.
Starting with?
Golan, could we start with you?
Yes, of course. So, first of all, the first tip that I want to give you, that, like I said, 1 minute, like I said, white rice will be great, it's okay. The second thing, don't overcook the fish, because fish is something very delicate. When you want to use it, when the edges become white, this is the right moment to flip it and give it another 1 minute inside the sauce, and enough. Because fish, when it's dry, it's ruined. You can see the dish now. 1 minute. Okay. So you can see the quinoa that I flavored a little bit. You can see the fish coated with the sauce, and the yellow sauce that is very typical to Asia. And another thing, it's the cured lemon. So it's a combined things between Mediterranean and Asia. So when you use the fork, you take everything together, and then you will get the sauce and the smell together. This is a dish that, first of all, you smell it and then you eat it. It's very easy. I can tell you again, use fresh fish. Don't be afraid. Even though that all the world going to agricultures, but try to use it. Don't use salmon, don't use tuna fish. It's not suitable. Use only the fat ones. Even cod can be beautiful. Black cod, you know, it's very expensive. But this is Israel, and the world is opening up. Don't afraid to use whatever come to your mind. This is the best thing.
Golan, the people watching the reactions to looking at that fish are OMG drooling. Looks amazing, yum, delicious. Wish we could have that for dinner tonight. So, Golan, thanks for creating the quarantine fish.
It was a pleasure.
We hope that it will be enjoyed in an environment where we're not in quarantine, but binatayim, while we are. Thanks for creating something new and fun and innovative.
I'm sorry I interrupt you. I want to add another thing. Look what happened during our show. I had made another dish, but with chicken. You can see I took the sauce, I added another things with potatoes and sweet potatoes and the eggplants, and I made another dish now.
Well, you said you could do it in 15 minutes, so obviously you needed something to do with your other hand. There are people who are claiming that they can actually smell the fish. So I appreciate that you shared some of the flavors with us earlier, and that some of our tech friends over there have found a way to include the sense of smell as part of Zoom. Lamar, can we get one more view of the falafel waffle? And there was somebody asked, you know, like sort of where you came up with the name for it. So.
Well, a few things. I mean, it just kind of rhymed, falafel waffle. I looked at the textures, they melt really, really well. And I love chicken and waffles, and I thought, why not do a twist on it? And the recipe really, really worked. I think you talked about variations. I think you were gluten-free with the chicken. You can omit flour and use rice flour and corn flour. So if you're gluten-free, that'll help in that too for a variation. Same thing with the sweetness. I think someone talked about honey. You know, you can use definitely honey in with the tahini. You can use a natural sweetener. You can use raw sugar and just melt it down to almost like a caramel, and then melt it in with it. But definitely, I'm gonna dig in here, and this is one of my favorite things. And with the egg, if you don't want a sunny egg, you can do a scrambled egg on top, and you can do a risi, or you can do a poached egg.
Awesome. Looks beautiful. Love the rhyming. Takes me back to Dr. Seuss. It's exactly what we need for this moment. We need to like pull out every stunt. This is what, week 2, week 3? Does it even matter? At this point, we're spreading the love, and we're sharing family recipes. Our chefs, our professional chefs, are donating their time and their goodwill to everybody to really make this a little bit more bearable, even if just for a little bit of time. And we're just so grateful for your generosity of spirit and bringing all these great dishes into people's homes. Lironne, some final words from you and from your extended family and the tradition of the culinary arts in Israel as being a way to bring people together, even in this time when we can't physically be together.
Well, first of all, this is quite delicious. And I recommend it, even though it's got some sugar in it. And I'll just pass it on to my assistant. And yeah, I think that first of all, we have no choice but to persevere and to run this course out, and hopefully by Passover or just after Passover, we will be able to get out of our quarantine and our distancing from one another, and really with the message of Passover and you know, coming out from slavery into freedom. Maybe this is a message of this coronavirus, and hopefully we will not see it return to us, or, you know, persecute us as Pharaoh had done. And really, I wish you all a very, very happy Passover with the families as much as you can, and enjoy the quarantine as much as you can, because, you know, it is an experience.
Indeed. No, and again, thanks for taking off your official diplomatic hat and putting on your unofficial diplomatic hat of just sharing culturally from Israel at a time where we all need some virtual hugs and some virtual distractions. It all helps. Indeed, thanks to Lamar, to Golan, to Lironne for 3 inspiring dishes. The questions and the comments that are still flying for us on social media. I promise in a moment we're going to put up all of the hashtags and the addresses that you can hopefully post your dishes when you all have the opportunity, hopefully, to try some of these things, and for us to share back with you the recipes. Each of the 3 of you, thanks for your willingness to share these creations, which really came out of your hearts, your hands, and your minds, and we really appreciate that. I also want to thank everybody else for joining in. Believe it or not, a couple of people told me that they actually had conflicts with virtual birthday parties that were taking place at the same time. So we're moving into a new space where we have to get creative in order to be supportive of one another, and this is one of the ways that American Israel Friendship League has decided to lean into this experience. We know there's a limit on what we can do to help during the current situation, but we do recognize that people in our own communities are suffering. They're scared. We're scared. We're uncertain. We wish we could do more. We can't provide a cure. We know some people who are working on it, but in the meantime, what we can do maybe is provide a smile, some emotional support, empathy, and maybe a little bit of a sense of community and what will emerge after. AIFL is now taking this opportunity to announce the beginning of a new campaign that we're calling Friends in Deeds. where we will make a weekly contribution of up to $500 in Israeli products and services to people around the country, frankly, who are in need of a smile. We're aiming simply to put some smiles on the faces of kids or medical professionals or others who will receive our weekly packages of support in the form of Israeli chocolates, candies, and including our family favorite bamba. We ask that all of you can help spread the word about this campaign, Friends in Deeds. We are seeking your fresh input each week with submissions of worthy organizations around the country that would benefit from a $500 donation of Israeli foods and sweets. We'll be monitoring Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and our own website at the address listed on the screen that you can see to receive nominations in any form, as little as just tell us the name of the organization and the location. And if you have a person of contact there, or if you want to get more elaborate because you're going stir crazy at home, then create a rap music video about why we should donate to a particular organization in your own community. Really, get our attention, get creative. This is, you got nothing else better to do around the house. And we promise to really pass that forward, play it forward, and get these goods in the hands of some people who would appreciate it. In order to launch this campaign, we're making our very first donation to the needy in New York City through a partnership with a wonderful organization called Repair the World, who have operations in New York as well as some other cities around America. This is a voluntary organization that promotes community work through community kitchens and pantries, community meetings, and engagement and mutual support. Indeed, and we'll be sharing on our website this week the first recipients of the Israeli food donation. This indeed is what friends do in the time of crisis. We fight with the tools we have to support and encourage one another each and every day. And with your help as unofficial ambassadors for this campaign, we can share from the generous spirit and character of our Israeli friends what it means to have friends in both good times and in challenging times like these. Thanks so much for spending some time with us on a Sunday morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on where you are. We look forward to sharing more activities of this spirit on our channels. Thanks again and have a great Sunday.